Session 2, steering rack install. This one ended up taking me about an hour, but I was not able to complete the job because as I installed the steering rack, I ended up having a few questions that I needed to ask my dealer, Rich. So first of all, the online suggestions or the online blogs that other people have posted suggest to drill a hole for the horns first. The horns end up going underneath where the steering rack is, and so installing the steering rack first makes it difficult to drill the hole later. This is specific to the 420R, as that's where the horns are mounted. And so the bolt will be a 8mm bolt that will go into that hole. So I ended up using a 5/16 drill bit, drilling a hole in the metal plate directly underneath the steering rack. Then I moved on to the steering rack itself. This looks relatively straightforward, but I could not find the IVA cover. I was notified that in the end that's specific to UK IVA tests and it's not really necessary for the US, and it's not any load-bearing part, so I am going to forego it. However, as I was installing the steering rack, I noticed that the orientation of the steering rack might be important here, and so I needed to find out whether the Caterham lettering on the steering rack should face the front of the car or the back of the car, and whether it should be angled or parallel to the ground. Now, if it's parallel to the ground, it means the pinion shaft ends up being parallel to the ground as well, but I've seen in the instruction manual that it seems to be tilted upwards maybe 30 to 40 degrees. But I needed to ask about that to make sure that I'm installing it correctly. Finally, the pinion shaft, I'm assuming it should be on the driver's side. However, that could be an incorrect assumption, so I am also double checking that before I continue with the build. That's it for today. Thank you.